We don't smoke marijuana in Muskogee. We don't take no trips on LSD. We don't burn no draft cards down on Main Street. We like living right, being free. We don't make no party out of loving. We like holding hands and pitching woo. We don't let our hair grow long and shaggy like the hippies out in San Francisco do. And I'm proud to be an Okie from Muskogee, a place where even squares can have a ball. We still wave old glory down at the courthouse, and white lightning's still the biggest thrill of all. Hey, leather boots are still in style for manly footwear. Beads and Roman sandals won't be seen. Football is still the roughest thing on campus, and the kids there still respect the college dean. And I'm proud to be an Okie from Muskogee, a place where even squares can have a ball. We still wave old glory down at the courthouse. White lightning's still the biggest thrill of all. And white lightning's still the biggest thrill of all. In Muskogee, Oklahoma, USA.
That have truly made our country great. I hope when you leave here or before you leave here today, you take this program. I hope you write a short note that you were here tonight. I would hope that you would write some of the names down that you met here tonight. To have just the reinforcement that you have people from the very young, that unfortunately many of us who are very gray, is a tremendous testimonial to Oklahoma has not forgotten wonderful people like Congressman Mike Synar. You know, I've met a lot of people as being a part of government. I've never met an individual that was more committed and had more passion for the things he truly believed in. Not only to the extent to try to make a better world for themselves, but it was said of Mike on many different occasions by the political pundits in D.C., there is truly an elected representative who loved to walk the tightrope without a net. And Mike didn't represent the lobbyists in three-piece suits, as we all know. Mike represented the elder who were homebound, who wanted and deserved a warm meal every day. He represented the teacher who believed in public education and that the world could be a better place for the time and effort that they spent in the classroom every day. They believed in the hard work of mankind who carried their lunch bucket and hit that time card every day to do something that was what was right for America. You know, we have tragically come to a place, I was telling a group today, that, you know, it's not socially acceptable to love the country that you live in. If you were to believe that some of the people that you meet through the day, many of you would absolutely convince you there is nothing left to have confidence in. They would truly believe that there are no more great leaders who have ideals in this country. They would also lead you to believe that there are no more good parents who have the parenting skills to raise the most greatest treasure we have. They would try to lead you to believe that there are no more great teachers who really care about the classroom. You know, the people in this room tonight, you could have been sitting any place you wanted to sit tonight, doing anything you wanted to do, but you cared enough about this great country that you live in that you were here. And for that, I want you to give yourself a round of applause. I could be here for a year telling you the great things that I experienced with Congressman Mike Synar. And it brings back a flood of memories as I look around this room at people like Ben and Marcia Robinson, Cedric Johnson, others that just walk the streets and walk the parades every 2 years to send him back to D.C. because they believe in him. But tonight really isn't here. Tonight is a night that we have come to celebrate and to share with the honor of a lady who, in her own right, made the same commitment many, many years ago. I met her in this classroom of Hilldale High School. And of anybody that I ever thought that would end up being Secretary of Education, it wouldn't have been Sandy Garrett. Not because she couldn't do it, and not because she didn't deserve it, but that wasn't her passion. Her passion was the kids in the classrooms and the kids in her school. So, what a great honor to be here. We're going to start with a man who is semi-responsible for all this. A man who actually gave us that great personality and that great intellect and that great energy. Mike's father, a man who in his own right came out of a meatpacking house in Wichita, Kansas, and ended up with one of the largest real estate and cattle operations in eastern Oklahoma. Everybody's best friend in Muskogee, Edmund Synar. Edmund, come on. Dennis, you have the...
Don't get off that easy.
Well, let me speak on behalf of Ed Synar just a minute. I remember one historic statement when Mike walked off of the stage at the University of Oklahoma, or maybe it's Northwestern University out of Chicago. Edmund shook his hand and said, "Congratulations, son. You're the most educated dirt farmer of eastern Oklahoma." Edmund and I got our blue shots together today, by the way. There you go, Edmund. Edmund Synar.
I want to tell you all how much I appreciate you being here to honor a great lady who, like Mike, they were close friends. And she has done this state more good than anyone that I know politically in this great state of ours. And it's a great honor to see her selected as the first recipient of the Mike Synar Achievement Award. And I want to congratulate her for all the work that she's done as Superintendent of Education, and I don't know of anyone more deserving at this time that deserves the honor more than she does.
I, first of all, am so honored tonight to be the first recipient of my friend, Congressman Mike Synar's Achievement Award. And particularly, I'm happy that it was presented to you. I want to give you a copy of Mike and I 31 years ago.
He looked fat there.
I know. I was cleaning out all of my mini souvenirs from the last 20, 30, 40 years and found this, and I thought, I want you to have it because Mike and I really did work together, and this was his first term in office, and we were in Washington, D.C. working on some education issues. So, to you, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate this so much, and all of you know, I'm an Okie from Muskogee. I was born in the Muskogee Baptist Hospital and grew up, though, in Stillwell, Oklahoma, and then came back to live 20 years in Muskogee. And most of that time, of course, I was a teacher. I was a teacher at Hillvale, and I ended up having the opportunity, as my good friend Jenny Wallace said, being in the classroom for 15 years and starting out at the lower grades and then proceeding on up to the high school level. So it really gave me a great background in going to the Department of Education later and being there. And then, even though I was a very passionate Democrat, and nearly everybody in this room that has known me know that I've been in this room many, many times in this building speaking for Democrats. I never dreamed it would be myself that would be running because I enjoyed working for people like Mike Synar that I believed in very much and other candidates. But after all of that, then I was chosen by a person, totally unexpected person, Henry Bellman, to be his Secretary of Education. That blew a lot of Republicans' minds and was very surprising to them that he chose me. But then later, of course, I ran as a Democrat for State Superintendent of Public Instruction. That was in 1990. So I was there 20 years and had quite a few times around the state of Oklahoma. But, I was so thrilled when Mr. Wilhite called me, and thank you, Dennis, for all your hard work, and told me I was the recipient of this honor because I knew Mike so well. And I remember in 1978, he knocked on my door one summer evening. Now, this is before I knew Mike. He knocked on my door. I lived at Grandview. Some of you know where that is if you're from Muskogee. And I saw this young man, really young man. He actually was 28 years old, but he looked about 18. And he was just perspiring, and you could tell it was the end of the day, and I was probably the last door that he had knocked on. And he said, hi. Of course, he had already done his homework. He said, hi, Ms. Garrett. He said, I am Mike Synar, and I am running for Congress. Well, now, that took me back a little bit, and I didn't laugh, but I'm almost thinking, are you old enough? I didn't say that, but I said, why don't you come in, and I'll fix you something cold to drink, and you can tell me about it, because I knew by that time he needed some iced tea or ice water and needed to sit down and rest a bit. So he told me his story and how he was passionate from the very start about everything he believed in. And, of course, education was one of those things he believed in. And as I thought about receiving this honor tonight, I thought about the last time I saw Mike. And that was in a parade, and it was the year 1994. And that was a hard year for Democrats, a very hard year. Hard year for me. I was in my second race, and I had a lady from this area running against me. And, I didn't know if I would win or not, but I was in this parade, and we were lined up, and it was a Cherokee Days parade, I believe, Chief. And Mike was in front of me. in the parade. And so, like most parades, it got stalled and so forth, and we finally got to the bandstand to make our little speeches. And I'll never forget what Mike said. Before he went up there, he had told me, he said, "Don't think I'm going to make it this time." I said, "What?" I said, "Of course you're going to make it." He said, "No, now don't be surprised if I don't." Of course, he had seen polling data and so forth, and I know Jane had seen that too. And he said, so when he got up to make his speech, something that touched me forever was, he said, "If you don't vote for another Democrat this year, you vote for this lady, because that's a vote for public education. And if we don't keep public education he felt so passionate about that. Now, of course, he knew a lot more than I knew at that moment, but it was, that year that was the very brutal year, and I squeaked by, but many Democrats didn't make it that year. So I'll never forget that. And also, I thought to myself, I thought, what if Mike was here today? What would he think? Well, number one, like Tom Friedman, the author, says, we're hot, flat, and crowded. This world has changed. And indeed, we all in our pocket out there have a cell phone with probably an instant message or an email on it that Mike Synar didn't have. He didn't go through that age of technology that we have now. And I thought to myself, Mike would be using that technology to get Democrats elected in this state and time today. And we have got to do that. We've got to get organized. We've got to use technology. We've got to do our grassroots. And we've also got to do something that I think Dennis and Mike and Wallace all mentioned, is we've got to tell people what the Democrats stand for. We've got to stand strong and tell them, yes, we believe in good values. We believe in family values. We believe that parents should be able to have input into their child's education. We believe in transparency. We believe in accountability. We believe in all those things. And we've got to start telling people that in a very clear and concise way. We were very lucky just 2 years ago. We had all statewide elected officials Democratic. All. And today, we have none. So we've got a lot of work to do. And I am certainly hoping that we'll all come together. Earl Garrison, thank you for your wonderful prayer and the blessings that you brought to us. And also, in your prayer, you mentioned the fact that we have children in poverty, about 4th or 5th in the nation from the bottom, the huge numbers. We're number 1 in the number of foster children in this state. We know the statistics, and they're not good. They're not good. And so what's happening right now is making them worse. And so let's all join hands, be good Democrats, organize, get your neighbors out, and thank you so much tonight for being here and for honoring me. And Mr. Synar, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I want to thank everybody that helped put this event on tonight. I know a lot of people work to do these things. I want to thank my friend Barbara Stacks, who's also a member of the Muskogee County Democrats and an officer right now, and of course Dennis and the other officers. I just appreciate you all so much, and appreciate your support throughout the years. I enjoyed my time in office very, very much, and now it's time for me to rest. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Superintendent Garrett. Before we move on to the next item, my committee that put this together, they work long hours, a bunch of headaches, a lot of time, and if you were a committee member, Sylvia and Dean and Kathy and Roscoe and Teresa, would you please stand and let's give them a round of applause for putting this together. And Donna, William, the next thing is that I'm going to introduce. If you are an elected official, I know I've got Senator Ellis here. If you're an elected official for a state senate, state rep, and you're here, would you please rise and let them see you real quick? Earl. There's another group that I really want to recognize before we leave. Right now, there's the non-uniformed employees here in Muskogee who will be battling a couple of hard noses in the city council on Monday night to get recognized for collective bargaining. I've also got some other union people in this room tonight that we need to recognize just because they're good, hard-working Americans, good, hard-working Oklahomans. And if you're a member of the union, would you please rise at this time so we can give you You are the backbone to the Democratic Party. You understand that, correct? So, with that, we'll support you as well. Now I'm going to give 3 minutes to two men, and if they will step forward, Mr. Rob Wallace and Mr. Wayne Harriman, if you'll come forward real quick. I wanted to introduce all the elected officials because I was reading somewhere, if I'm not wrong, Gene, that Mike was known as a listener. He would go down and he would just listen to people. And I know all these elected officials would like to listen to your concerns. And I know Senator Ellis would too, even though he's from not this area. You still got an opinion to give to him, cornering. And talk to him. This is what I think Mike would have liked, is just meet and greet and talk to people. I think first I'm going to go in the alphabetical order. Senator Corn has made it very, very clear that the 2nd Congressional District is not for sale. It is not for sale to the highest Republican bidder. They can raise all the money they want to raise, but I believe as Democrats we can out-knock them, we can out-walk them, we can out-push them, and if we do lose this seat, this is what I want the Republicans to say. They will be like Burgess Meredith when he got with Rocky Balboa in the 2nd round, and Apollo Creed went up and he said, "No more fights. No more fights." I want the Republicans to know that they've been in a fight. I do. I want them to know that. So what I'm going to do is allow Mr. Harriman about 3 minutes to introduce himself, and something that he's passionate about is running for the congressional district seat. Mr. Wayne Harriman.
Several of you may know me. I grew up at Warner, Oklahoma. Jerry Raines happens to be my classmate. And so I'm just going to introduce myself. And for a lot of you, I've not been in politics. I'm a businessman. I've been in business for about 30 years for myself, have covered most of this 2nd Congressional District. Again, my name is Wayne Harriman. I grew up at Warner, went to high school there, went to Connors College, went to OSU in 1976, spent 2 years in the Army. I'm a veteran, and I'm married for 37 years. My wife's over here and my children over here with us. 2 of our children, we have 2 in the Owasso area. I own 2 seed companies, one here in Muskogee called Sunburst Seed Company. The other one is in Collinsville, Holman Seed Farm. Been there since 1940. That's what I've done for a living for several years. I've been at Collinsville for about 15 years, and before that started Sunburst Seed in 1984. So needless to say, from my standpoint, you would know that I'm not a politician. And a lot of things that you're talking about tonight, I'm not very well educated on. But I promise you, I'm a hard worker and I'm a quick learner. And what we've got going on in Washington today, we have to seriously change. This will be the most critical election you've ever voted in. This country is in dire straits. You people know that. Our young people don't know that. They don't understand that. And I promise you, I'm 59 years old. I'll not go to Washington to be bought. I'll not go to Washington to lay down. I figure there'll be 6 years I can give to this cause. Only if you get elected that many times. I understand that. But 6 years I can give to it to make a change. And I would promise you this, if I'm elected, you'll not be ashamed of what I've done for you and what I can do there. I promise you I will make a difference for all of us. And I would tell you that one thing we got to all remember, that we all love this country, all of us. Sometimes we get to forgetting that we're Americans first. And I want you to remember that. When we start making differences in Washington, we got to be about doing what's good for this country. A $15 trillion debt is shameful. Shameful, that's all I can tell you. And from my standpoint, it's about learning to make things work right. Responsible government we need. And I promise you that's what I would be about. You know, in closing, I want to tell you that I do have a few connections to Mike Synar, and I want to share them just a little bit. I was in 4-H, and Mike and I went for Muskogee County to the state deal. And then I would also tell you that Mike, I used to manage Muskogee Farmers Association here in town, and Mike came there, and we worked with Mike to get him elected at one time, and to tie into agriculture. And I can tell you that's been my place where I've worked all my life, has been in agriculture. This particular district, whether you realize it or not, has 1,700 more farmers and ranchers in it than Frank Lucas's district, which is number 3. We need ag representation just as much as we need anything else. In closing, I would tell you that I promise you this. If I'm elected, again, I'll make you proud. There's 3 things that I ask for, and I've asked this from several people that I've talked to. 1, I beg for your prayers. 2, I ask for your vote. And 3, I need your support. Those are the things that I stand for. Let's take this country back. Thank you.
I am a salesman. I am a Democrat. The 50-50 tickets are still for sale. We still need you to donate, and for the in-place fireplace inserts, and it's $500 value, and you could get it for $1. So, girls, circulate again, and we'll get some more money out of these good Democrats. We do have a Veterans Parade in Tahlequah. Make sure that you're aware of that. And now, Mr. Wallace, if you'll come up, I'd like to introduce to you Mr. Rob Wallace.
Thank you very much. Dennis, I confess, when you said Mr. Wallace could come up, I looked to see if Gene was going to get up and come up here. My name's Rob Wallace, and I'm running for Congress. And I got to tell you, tonight I'm deeply honored to be in a room full of great Democrats, first of all, but to get to speak at the same time that an Ed Synar gets to speak, or to get to speak particularly at a time when a Sandy Garrett gets to speak and a Gene Wallace gets to speak. That's rarefied air as far as I'm concerned. And you think about the tradition that we stand here tonight to fill. Wayne and I are running for a seat that's been held by the likes of a Lyle Warren in eastern Oklahoma, a Clem McSpadden in eastern Oklahoma, a tradition of Carl Albert in eastern Oklahoma. And when you think about the giants that have occupied that congressional seat, Wayne, it's hard to think that I'm worthy of even being in a race. And I will tell you tonight that I am deeply concerned about the direction that Washington has taken. I am deeply concerned about the dysfunction that we see in Washington today. I am deeply concerned about the fact that we are not seeing constructive engagement in the Congress. We're not seeing people working together for the American people. What we are seeing is people that are fighting in Washington and costing us jobs in eastern Oklahoma. And it's got to stop. For most of my career in eastern Oklahoma, I've been a prosecutor. And I've made cases day in and day out against those who violate the rules. And one of the things that I've unfortunately seen is that today, if you work hard and play by the rules, you're not guaranteed to make it. And there was a time in this country when if you worked hard and played by the rules, you were going to have a nice lifestyle. And today, that's not true. Today, that's slipping away. And we have to establish in Congress a voice of the common man, a voice of the working man and woman. We've got to take that voice back to Washington, D.C. We have got to make sure that the folks that are sitting in that House and the folks that are over on the other side in that Senate understand that they represent not Wall Street, but Main Street. The Democrats that I have mentioned, and many more of you sitting around this room, understand that. And the unfortunate reality is many of the folks up there in Washington don't get it. It's time they get it. And the way they're going to get it is we're going to elect Democrats. Whether it's me or Wayne or anybody else, we're going to elect Democrats. Because when Democrats get out and vote, the people win, not Wall Street. One of the things Wayne said is right on. This is the most critical election that we will vote in our lifetime. The most critical election. I covet your vote and your support. I, like Wayne, ask for your prayers. This is a daunting task at a time when we're being told that the polling numbers tell us we can't win. We need to tell them that the polling numbers don't count. What counts is people standing up for people's rights. And that's what Democrats do, and that's what I'll do in Washington. Now more than ever, it is critical that we organize. Now more than ever, it is critical that we tell our neighbors they are being attacked. Now more than ever, it is critical that we send a strong voice to Congress. Now more than ever, it's time for somebody to make the case against gridlock. It's time for somebody to make the case against hyper-partisan games that are being played so that they kill jobs here where we desperately need them. We don't live on Wall Street. We don't live in fine mansions. We don't have huge businesses. We're small businessmen. We're teachers. We're firefighters. We're police officers. Government needs to have your back. And that's what Democrats have always stood for. Tonight, I ask you for your support. Tonight, I ask you for your vote. But most importantly, I ask you for shoe leather. I ask you to make your fingertips sore dialing that telephone. I ask you to get repetitive stress injuries in your thumbs texting people on that cell phone he was talking about you out of your pocket. Because, ladies and gentlemen, that's how Democrats will win in this cycle. That's how we will send strong voices to Washington. And that's how we'll take our country back for the working men and women of the United States of America. I'm one of you, and I want to be there. Please help me get
there. Okay, we're going to get to the final drawings here real quick. Go ahead and kick it. Now, the other thing that we have out front is the Blue Star Mothers. If you're not aware of what the Blue Star Mothers do, they send packages overseas to our troops. They do have a table outside, and they would love your support because they will be sending Christmas packages and Thanksgiving packages overseas to our troops. The next thing is that Ms. Callahan, if you'll please stand. She is the Fitchburg County Chair. There is a Christmas banquet for Congressional District 2. She has tickets, $25 a piece. They are going to Krebs, to Pete's Place.
That's right.
Go ahead, Brenda, really quick.
Jerry Askins is going to be our keynote speaker. It starts at 6 o'clock on Friday, December 2nd. Cocktail hour at 6 and dinner at 6:30. We would love for all of you to travel to enjoy some world-famous Italian cuisine.
Thanks, Brendan. And real quickly, Ivan Holmes, would you please stand? Ivan. Would you please stand?
Yeah.
Ivan was the former Oklahoma County, Oklahoma state chair. And we're glad that you're here, Ivan. Thank you very much. All right, get your tickets out, and we're going to go through this rather quickly. We've got a phone, and the number is 438-589. 438-589. 438-589. We got a winner. Next ticket is 438-585. 438-585. 438-585. 438-585. Hot dog. Next one is 438-577. We got a bingo. 438